part of their continuing coverage of former President Trump's indictment this week, ABC News played a clip from Trump's first speech after his arraignment. But apparently they blurred out the text Trump to 88022 on the podium. Let's actually take a look at that.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. Never thought it could happen.
Well, according to the Washington Post, by texting this number, one would receive exclusive updates and messages from Trump for president. Now, one day after being charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, Trump took to Truth Social and demanded defunding the police. Republicans in Congress should defund the DOJ and FBI until they come to their senses. The Democrats have totally weaponized law enforcement in our country and are viciously using this abuse of power to interfere with our already under siege elections. And just to briefly clarify, Donald Trump, in fact, lost the 2020 presidential election. Joe Biden won it. Disclaimer, have to make given social media's various policies.
Trump also said almost every legal and political analyst has said the unfair and morally disgusting indictment filed against me yesterday has no merit and is not even a case. There was no crime in any way. The statute of limitations has been violated by many years. Joining us now to discuss is legal affairs reporter at The Hill, Rebecca Beitsch. Welcome, Rebecca. How you doing?
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
It's great having you. Now, do you think Trump is correct about this, particularly when it comes to the statute of limitations? Has that passed? Does he actually have an argument? And is there a chance that we'll see these charges dismissed?
So that's actually going to be one of the first things that's considered in court. So Trump's team has until August to kind of file motions asking to dismiss this case. Doing so will involve getting the judge to agree to a couple of different things, but essentially that either that Manhattan District Attorney Bragg didn't have enough evidence or that the statute of limitations is passed. In New York, for felonies, that timeline is about 5 years, but you can do something that's called tolling, and that's essentially just the process of precedence when a defendant has been consistently out of state, which in Trump's case, he largely has been either by living in Washington or in Florida.
Rebecca, some people are saying that the aspect of this indictment, the raising it from misdemeanor to felony, rests on an untested legal theory. Can you elaborate on, the creativity Bragg kind of deployed here in order to make it not just a misdemeanor but a felony, and why, we're not sure that's going to pass muster in New York court?
Yeah, so the elevation that you're talking about is actually pretty common. This is something that Bragg's office does all the time. Falsification of business records is a pretty common charge that they've brought, and it's very common to elevate that to a felony if that behavior was done to obscure another crime. What is a little novel here is that he's tying that to campaign violations. And what he's insinuated both in court documents and in his public statements is that he plans to, pursue an elevation to a felony charge through both state and federal campaign laws. And so, Trump's team has argued that as a state prosecutor, Trump being a federal candidate, that he cannot be charged for violating any state campaign laws. And he's also arguing that it would take federal authorities to prosecute him for a federal crime. Some legal observers think that, Bragg does have a shot here, that, Trump can't magic either state or federal charges, but that's ultimately going to be up to the judge to decide.
Well, according to The Hill, references to tax law violations are spread throughout the documents and public statements from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg regarding Donald Trump, which could be a sign that New York prosecutors may be planning to bring a larger case against him. Experts say that even though Trump has been indicted, it is, quote, not guaranteed that the former president would serve jail time if he's convicted. Could you comment on, whether there's going to be more charges or more to this case forthcoming? Obviously, I think a lot of commentators have been underwhelmed, even Democrats, even people who think there could theoretically be some real justification to charges against Trump, have been underwhelmed so far by what Bragg has presented, and he's kind of hinted at that there's more coming. Can you walk us through some of that?
Yeah, so as we were talking about earlier, there are some complications in terms of elevating this to a felony through through different campaign law violations. So Bragg has pointed to tax statutes in a few different instances in court filings and also in his public statements. At one point, they note that Trump and his organization inflated a payment to, his fixer, Michael Cohen, the one who made the original payment to Stormy Daniels, to kind of compensate for the fact that he would lose a lot of that money in income taxes. And so that could, potentially be a crime, another financial crime. And I think what we're seeing from observers is just that this is a way to bolster the case. At this juncture, Bragg does not have to completely lay out his entire strategy or even completely specify his charges. A lot of that is going to be hammered out in the next few months. And it's a little bit of a signal that if he does face issues on the campaign front, that he has the tax option on the back burner.
So, Rebecca, I have a question about the charges. Some people say that when this goes in front of a jury, that because this is complicated, because this involves documents, that it could confuse a jury. Do you think that that's a chance? And also, my other question is kind of an opinion question, and that is, are you going to be able to find 12 Americans that would convict former President Trump?
I do think it's likely that Trump's team might ask for a change of venue, just given that New York, maybe doesn't have as diverse of a population as other parts of the U.S. So that's certainly a possibility. But I think it's always a challenge for prosecutors to kind of explain, the charges they're bringing and what aspects of the law have to be met in order for someone to be guilty of a crime. And so I think in their case, what's going to be key here is demonstrating, right, the tie to the election, to the campaign. And in court filings, there is a synopsis of an exchange between Trump and Michael Cohen indicating that he wanted to, delay the payment to Stormy Daniels for as long as possible, indicating something to the effect of, if we can wait till after the election, this payment won't even matter anymore. So I think they do have some evidence that could help bolster that case. So I think until we see, more of the evidence, more documents come out in court, it's too early to say how strong the case is or isn't, and just understand the weight of the evidence that they will be.
Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it.